Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Martin Show here on AM 790 WPRV and on Facebook Live. I'm your host, Scott Cordisci. The Mike Martin Show brought to you in part by United Healthcare. You put care into everything that you do. United Healthcare does too. United Healthcare, health plans that care for you and your family every step of the way. See what care can do at uhc.com. Well, as he does each and every week, joining us on Coach Martin's show from the class of 71 is my co-host for Brown Basketball on the Air, Russ Tyler. Russ, how are you?
I'm great, Scott. And as always, it's great to be here. Good to see you and Mike.
Well, thank you for being with us, Russ. And let's say hello to the head coach of the Bears, Mike Martin. Coach, how you doing this week?
Guys, you can see I'm not at home. I'm in the office. We've had workouts on the court, real basketball workouts, socially distanced, wearing masks, of course, but it was too long between the Dartmouth game on March 7th and we got back in the gym last Thursday. So it's been almost a full week now. And it's just so good to be in the gym with these guys and rebound for them and, just be able to get back to some type of normal. Obviously, it's not normal, but some type of routine and build towards next year. We've been talking about it. We're going to take every opportunity we have this spring semester and whatever we're allowed to do in the summer term that Brown has and try to prepare as best we can for next season.
And Mike, as you walk around the Pizzatola Center, there's an office which is empty down the end of the hall. Jack Hayes is gone. And that was something that was announced a couple weeks ago. And I know he was totally supportive of the Brown basketball program, totally loyal to the program among every other sport and so forth, but he'll be missed. No,
he will, dearly missed. Jack hired me. I think his first official day was my press conference. I'm forever grateful and appreciative for everything he's done, believing in me as a coach, obviously what he's done for my family, what he's done for our program and our entire athletic department. Jack was an incredible partner. I would talk to him almost daily. At times, I'm sure he saw the phone ringing or he heard me knocking on his office door and he's like, what could Mike possibly want again? But, we've had unbelievable support and Jack's been kind of with us every day through it over the last 8.5 years. Obviously, President Paxson, Sam Menkoff, the corporation, and, there's so many others that support us. But as far as, you talk about a coach AD partnership, I couldn't have dreamed it to go any better than the way it did with Jack, and he'll be missed. And again, I'm forever grateful.
Yeah, in one of Jack's, I think, legacies that he leaves is just a tremendous upgrade and improvement in Brown athletic facilities. And as you do this show, Coach, you are sitting in your brand new basketball offices, men's and women's basketball. We talked about the new locker rooms that you have. And, I think it was Jack's philosophy. Look, I'm not going to say no to anything. If we can find a way to get it done and raise the finances to get it done, yeah, by all means, let's improve our facilities. And your program's a perfect example of that.
That's right. Obviously, the Center for Lacrosse and Soccer is an incredible addition, and so many other upgrades, throughout the athletic department. But, we've talked about what we think this facility, these renovations will do, in recruiting and, what it will mean for our student athletes as far as their experience with, the new space we have downstairs, the new space we have up here. It's just, I couldn't be more pleased with how it came out. And obviously very grateful to Jack and again, the president and, all of our incredible supporters and donors who made the, very generous gifts to make this a possibility.
Yeah, and Mike, on Saturday, the Providence Journal announced that Billy Reynolds was retiring from his post at the Journal. He's been there for years, and his Saturday column is legendary, and he's meant so much to Brown basketball through the years. He's meant so much to you personally, to Scott personally, to me personally, to a million other people personally. He's someone that will really be missed.
Well, I don't know him as long. I haven't known him as long as you, Russ. I think you go back to 1967 when you were a freshman, and I know you've always talked about the mentorship you received from him, and how important that is, to any student athlete. But Billy, he's never stopped mentoring Brown athletes. He's never stopped caring. He's never stopped supporting our program. You think about all the incredible lives he's touched through his writing, and he has a gift. He's as talented of a writer as I've ever read, and has such a unique way of knowing the game of basketball, but then articulating it so very well. And You know, I know the conversations he and I have had, you know, when I was a student athlete, when I was an assistant coach, when I came back here as head coach. And, you know, I think about the laughs and the memories, you know, and he'll continue to mean so much to me and in our program. And congratulations, obviously, to him on his official retirement from the Journal. We miss him. You know, we'll miss him. You know, with his writing, but you know, his impact is long lasting.
Russ, you know, he's obviously, as Coach pointed out, just a great writer, and he has written many books beyond what he's done for the Providence Journal. Success is a Choice with Rick Pitino, Fall River Dreams, the story about Chris Herron. Those have received a lot of accolades, but I think you and I agree that maybe our favorite book was Glory Days, the one about his days as a high school player in Barrington and then a college player at Brown, and then coming to that realization that, you know what, it's over with.
Yeah, no, it was autobiographical, Scott. You're right, and everybody faces that at some point in time in their career, whether you're Michael Jordan or whoever it is. It ends, and he did just a terrific job of expressing that in that book and the impact that it had on him. But he picked up his career and went on to just great success and using the basketball as a springboard. You know, yeah, he'll be missed for the Journal. That Saturday column, as both you guys know, there are people in Rhode Island, they only got the paper on Saturday to read Billy's column.
Exactly right. And I'll tell you, just as quick, I read the book Glory Days when I was a senior in high school. I had already decided to come to Brown, and I think somebody gave it to me as a gift. And ever since that day, I hadn't met Billy at the time, but I've just tried to be him. Basically, I live in Barrington now. You know, unfortunately, I grew up in Western Massachusetts, Russ, you know, in Springfield, Agawam, you know, but, you know, now I live in Barrington. I'm at Brown. I never want to, you know, lose this relationship with Brown. And obviously it's guys like Billy who, you know, I try to emulate a little bit.
Coach, let me say this one thing, Scott, about Barrington and Billy and Mike Singheiser. Mike, I happened to speak to Billy on Sunday morning. And I mentioned Mike was on your show. Mike Singheiser was on your show last Wednesday. And Billy said, did you know that when I was a senior at Barrington High School, Mike Singheiser was a student teacher at Barrington High School? So it all ties in. All of your guests tie in. And you don't even know it, and they tie in anyway.
Mike, two things that people, I think the average Providence Journal reader, for instance, don't know about Billy Reynolds that I always admired were, number one, I don't know if there's a bigger college basketball fan in the state of Rhode Island. The amount of college games that he attended, if there was a college game, it didn't matter. He would be there. If there were 3 in one day, he'd be at Brown, he'd be at URI, he'd be at Providence, he'd go to Rhode Island College, Johnson Wells. It doesn't matter. He attended more college basketball games, I think, in this state than any human being alive. But I think more importantly, he had no ego whatsoever. It was never about him. He just wasn't that type of guy.
You're so right. And I remember, you know, I mean, I'd be sitting in the office leading up to a Saturday night Ivy League game, 7 o'clock tip. And, you know, me, I'm nervous and anxious for the game. And Billy would come in. He just had a way of calming me down. I just came from URI. They looked like this, and PC earlier. And, you know, it's just, he's got such a way about him. And like you said, it's never about him. And he touches so many people because of with his humility and with his grace.
Yeah, very, very special guy to all of us. And you know, I wish him well. Mike, also one other thing, you announced your incoming class for next year. You want to talk about that just briefly?
Yeah, so it's our 5 early decision admits. We still could add to it, but we wanted to, they had done everything that they needed to do compliance-wise for, you know, they've been accepted, they've, you know, submitted their deposit so we can, you know, publicize it. And, you know, I'm so excited. I think it's a great class. They all, you know, I think will have a chance to help us. They, you know, they add to our versatility defensively. They add to our athleticism. They add to our skill level. But most importantly, their values align with our values, right? And they'll do a great job of carrying our culture every day and everything they do on the court and across the campus. So really excited about them. We could add to it here, you know, in the next couple months if we think someone could, you know, potentially be the right fit. But yeah, it's a really good start to our class with those 5.
And Brown basketball fans, if you want to see more information about that incoming freshman class for this upcoming fall, you can go to brownbears.com, or you follow Brown basketball on Twitter and Instagram, and you'll see the information there as well. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back on the Mike Martin Show in just a moment, we'll be joined by a pair of seniors on this year's team. Tamanong Cho and Jake Shaper will be our guests when we continue with the Mike Martin Show right after this.
You put care into everything you do. United Healthcare does too. Like connecting you to care whenever you need it. Because like you, United Healthcare knows what care can do.
The day the world stopped was the day we found where to go. From now on, we're not going to leave anything on our plates because we've learned to savor the moments that were always there, and they never tasted this good.
Welcome back to the Mike Martin Show on AM 790 WPRV and on Facebook Live. This segment of the show brought to you by the Brown University Sports Foundation. Through your donations and the work of our volunteers, the Brown Sports Foundation is committed to providing funding and support to help enhance the student-athlete experience at Brown. We thank you for your generosity and your service to Brown Athletics. Well, tonight it gives us great pleasure to welcome to the show a pair of seniors who, unfortunately for Brown Bears fans, will be graduating this spring. From Lowell, Massachusetts, forward Tamanong Cho is with us. T, how are you?
Doing good. I'm all right.
Well, thanks for joining us, T. And a senior guard from Houston, Texas, Jake Shaper is with us. Jake, how are you doing tonight?
I'm pretty well.
Well, Jake, thank you for joining us as well. T, we'll start with you. Certainly not the way I think that you would have hoped that your Brown career would end with the pandemic and no season. I really felt like this team had a chance to be really special this year, but it is what it is, right? I mean, we've all had to deal with this pandemic in our own way, and I guess you'll have to worry about playing more basketball in the future.
Yeah, no, definitely. I remember hearing the news and being in the suite with the guys. It was a extremely sad time, and it kind of took some time to get used to it, but like you said, there's something to look forward to, hopefully next year. So that's kind of where my head's at now.
And T, in your 3 years, you've had multiple honors. Well, first of all, captain multiple years, which speaks volumes in terms of your leadership ability, but also All Ivy a couple times, J. Richmond Fales Award as most valuable player a couple times. What stands out the most in your memories at Brown in terms of your personal accomplishment and team accomplishment?
Yeah, no, those the personal accolades, definitely appreciate that. Definitely something I'm gonna remember. But I think the biggest thing was getting the 20th win in the playoffs. So I think we're like the only program that hasn't gotten the 20th win yet or something like that. So getting that under our belt was definitely something I'll never forget. And probably also the Harvard buzzer beater too. That was kind of cool.
Jake, more than cool. That was pretty special, is right, for all of us. Yeah, thank you for the memory.
No problem.
Jake, I was disappointed for you as well as selfishly myself and Russ too, because had we played this year, we would have been playing the Texas Longhorns down in your state of Texas in Austin. So that was one of the games that unfortunately got wiped out due to the season being canceled. Yeah,
it's a shame. I was looking forward to that game, especially since they're pretty good this year, but it's all right.
So what's on the horizon for you, Jake? Are you considering grad school, using that year of eligibility? You're going to get right into the workforce. What are your plans after graduation?
Yeah, so I entered the transfer portal for a little bit, given that we can't use our 5th year at Brown. But I actually already have a job offer that I had accepted prior to even knowing that our season would be canceled. And they gave me the option to defer a year and play somewhere else, but I'd had to let them know sometime in January. And after a little bit of time in the transfer portal, I decided to accept the job. So I'll be working for Boston Consulting Group in Houston next year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You'll be working in Houston then for the Boston Consulting Group. Jake,
I will. Yeah. I interned this past summer in Houston, so the return offer was back to Houston as well. So I'm excited to go home, but I'll be missing Providence as well.
If I may just add, Scott and Russ, a little bit. So I've heard of a lot of obviously outstanding job offers for Brown students and Brown basketball players. Jake had this offer, I think, Jake, like before your junior, before we even entered the summer going into his senior year, he had the internship and, obviously did a great job. And, normally by the end of the summer, that leads to full-time offers so long as the intern does the job that they're expected to do. But I think Jake was one of the earliest ever. He got the job offer. Was it like back in May or June, Jake, where you got the full-time offer to come back?
It was in April, actually. I'd actually already accepted it in April. I got pretty lucky, especially in this job climate. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Yes, sir. Jake, pieces on you.
Hope Street.
T, I know your plans are for going to grad school next year, and I don't know how that process has been going for you. I know you're in the transfer portal as well. Have you been reaching out to schools? Have they been contacting you or Coach Martin? And when might we expect some type of announcement or decision from you?
Yeah, no, I've been in the portal now for a little bit. It's kind of weird in terms of time because, obviously guys are usually in the portal after the season's over in like March or April and stuff like that. But obviously that wasn't the case for us in the Ivy League. So right now I'm just kind of trying to get the right fit for me, a place where I can, be a key piece in the team where we can, make a NCAA tournament run and just something that would, get me prepared for the next level after college, which, professional, which I hope to do. So that's kind of where I'm at with it right now.
And Jake, when you head back to Houston, you can keep an eye on a Brown basketball alumnus, Stephen Silas, the head coach of your Houston Rockets. And unfortunately, the Texans made a mistake in firing a Brown football alumnus, Bill O'Brien, class of '93. So there's a lot of Brown stuff going on in Houston for you.
Yeah, I've been in touch with Coach Silas a little bit. Actually, when I went home for winter break, I went to a Rockets game and I talked to him a little bit. But yeah, I'm excited about that for sure. And I'm already a Rockets fan now, even more reason to be a Rockets fan.
Yeah, good.
Jake, were you a BEO concentrator here at Brown?
I am, BEO Econ.
Okay. And this job that you have, was the internship, did it happen to be through a Brown connection, or was this something that you were able to pursue on your own?
I pursued on my own. BCG actually doesn't come to Brown for interviews, and I didn't know anyone there before, but my uncle had actually worked there a couple of years in the past. So he thought I should apply, and I applied, and it worked out.
And T, one other thing, you've led the Ivy League in rebounding. You've been among the Ivy League leaders in reboundings all 3 years. Can you tell us, in terms of rebounding, is that something that requires effort, technique? What's the important part of rebounding?
I definitely say it has a lot to do with just effort and mentality. I remember like my freshman year, like I knew, especially under Coach Martin, the only way I was going to see the court was if I, tried to do something on the defensive end, get a rebound. So I just kind of put my mind to that, and it stuck with me over the years. So that's kind of how that happened.
And Scott, one other question. And you love grabbing the ball off the defensive board, and before you even hit the court with your feet, you're pounding into the deck, and you're on your way down the other end. That's a great thing.
Yes, sir. No, I appreciate that. That's definitely something I worked on over the summer. Just trying to be the guy who can push the break and transition and stuff like that. And the team and coach kind of let me do that. So I'm grateful.
Coach, a couple of questions for you about T, and to follow up what Russ and T were just talking about. T was kind of that point forward for you, right? You could run the offense through him because of his skill set and all the things that he was able to do. That's number one. Number two, I'm disappointed we didn't have a season, because I think this guy, in my opinion, would have been one of the leading, if not the leading candidate for Ivy League Player of the Year. Your thoughts on that? And then number three, are you fielding calls for him? Because I have to believe there's a lot of high-level Division I programs that would love to have a guy like T.
Yeah, so I'll start with the first one. One of the things we noticed right away with T is he loves to dribble, right? He loves to show off his ball handling ability and drive by people. So I said, you know what, T, it seems you want to be a point guard. How about we'll let you play point guard anytime you get a defensive rebound. And coincidentally, he led the league in defensive rebounding and total rebounding his sophomore year, because he knew every time he got it, we were going to let him go and he was going to be a point guard for us. But, he earned it and he deserved it because he made such good decisions in the open floor. He was so hard to guard in the open floor. And, you know, when you have guys like, you know, the guys we had around him the last few years who could shoot it, it put the defense in a tough predicament. Your second question, yeah, I mean, I think we all felt like we had a realistic chance to contend for an Ivy League championship and win it, thanks to our senior class, Jake, Matt DeWolf, and T, and you know, EJ Perry, you know, once the football season was to end. But, you know, those guys came in, and I think their freshman year, we won 11 games and then 20. And then, you know, most wins in a 2-year stretch in school history. And, you know, 2 straight postseason invites. Obviously last year got, you know, called off, you know, because of the pandemic. But, you know, we were looking at this year, obviously, as the buildup of, you know, so much hard work. And, you know, we thought the senior class would lead us. And I think T would have been one of very few legitimate candidates to be Ivy League Player of the Year. It's not going to happen. Obviously, we know that. You know, now he's set his sights on going to help another program. Any program that gets him will be very, very fortunate, right? And yes, we're fielding all kinds of calls and inquiries. Teams are playing right now. I think as their seasons finish and as you know, different things happen, you know, as far as players, you know, transferring other programs or deciding whether or not they want to come back, his interest will continue to increase. But he's already got some really good options, and he'll continue to get more and more. And again, whatever program he goes to, he'll be a significant addition for them, just like Boston Consulting Group's getting an outstanding person and employee with Jake.
And Jake, take us back 4 years in terms of what the recruiting process was like, in terms of other schools perhaps, and ultimately why you decided Brown University was the right place for you.
Yeah, big factors for me were obviously coaching staff. I love the coaching staff, Coach Martin, Coach TJ, Coach Sims at the time. Everything was great with them, and I loved my visit, and also just having a high academic school was a big priority for me. And just having offers from the Ivy League made it tough to turn down, just given that I knew going in, I wasn't looking to play pro or anything like T is. I knew that after my 4 years, I'd be probably moving on. So that was a big factor for me. And I also just wanted something different. I wanted to move out of Texas and try a new area and just experience new things. And I 100% am happy with my decision. I loved it all 4 years.
Jake, to follow that up a little bit, do you have a particular memory or two that stands out, whether it's maybe a game that was played or off the court, just something, you know, hanging out with your teammates that you'll remember when you leave? Is there a memory that stands out to you in the 3 years that you did play before the pandemic?
I agree with T. The 20 win season was huge, and breaking that record and playing in the postseason, like going to California twice that year was fun. But I'd also say the URI game last year was pretty fun. Having it be essentially like an away game in our own stadium and then defending our home stadium when no one thought we would win was pretty exciting, and it was a thrilling game, and fans were in our ears in our own stadium, and then to win and defend that is pretty special. I think everyone was pretty excited after that win.
Yeah, and T, over the course of your 3-year career, you've played on a number of different players' opposition. But I noticed also that you play a number on the piano. Tell us about your piano talents and how that translates into playing numbers on opponents.
You know, can't even lie to you, Russ, you're my guy and everything, but I haven't played the piano since high school. I don't think so. I don't think my skills right now are up to par as they should be, so I got none for that one.
So you concentrated on the court, on the basketball court, playing numbers. That's better. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So T, I know Coach likes to talk a lot of junk with you guys about, you know, when he played and, you know, we had this many wins and stuff like that. Is he going to hold it over your head that you guys didn't get a chance to rack up like 19, 20 more wins this year? Because, you know, chances are you probably would have done that, and you probably would have broken his record as a player.
Hey, I do think we all know that. So if what's understood doesn't have to be said, I'm going to leave it at that, Coach.
Coach Martin, yeah, any rebuttal?
Hey, I was rooting like crazy for this class to break our 4-year record that Pat Powers and Jamie Kilburn and myself still have. And, you know, I guess, unfortunately, it's going to take a few more years for another class to threaten it. But, yeah, obviously on a more, you know, serious note, it's just, again, you feel for these guys. All their hard work, you know, was leading up to this season, you know, since the day they started playing basketball. And we all understand it. What I've been most impressed with, and I know I've said this before, is just how, you know, they've handled it, their maturity, their attitude, and, you know, they're going to make the best of the situation they've been dealt, something that's beyond their control. And, you know, as a coach, that makes me feel pretty good because, you know, we know that we've got some incredible young men who I think have really led the way for us as a program.
Coach, to me, these guys embody the culture that you've established here within this program, right? Guys that just show up every day and work their tail off for you, no matter what the circumstances.
Yeah, and obviously T, you know, all of his hard work has shown up on the court. You know, Jake was in the gym every day, right? And obviously we didn't see, you know, him get as much playing time as maybe some others as T did. But when he got in there, he was ready to make an impact. He made us better every day in practice. You know, if you made a mistake, he was going to make you pay for it. And yeah, I think these two guys, along with, you know, their classmate, Matt DeWolf, and the rest of the folks that we have in the program, they've helped advance our culture. And we talk about it every day. What are you doing to help advance our culture? Like, this is something that stands out. You know, that's what we want to be about. This is what we want our program, how we want it to be represented. And Jake and T did it every day.
Yeah, and T and Jake, let me just say this: that Brown basketball is a very unique brotherhood or fraternity, and you guys have brought much credit to Brown basketball, both of you. And Scott and I have said for years, the next Brown basketball player that we don't like will be the first. Well, you two guys, by your character and integrity and so forth, I'm honored to know both of you, and I wish you both the best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, it's my fault. It's kind of easy to, you know, kind of put on that jersey and represent something more than ourselves, just to support, you know, we get from even the president watching the games, other sports teams at our games, and, you know, everyone in the athletic department. So I appreciate you guys and everything you guys do for us.
Jake, I know you and T won't be able to really enjoy it fully, but the new locker room and new basketball offices, that's going to be a big boost to the program, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, it's definitely a shame we can't use it. It looks, from the pictures, very nice. And yeah, I was pretty excited. I was hoping we could use it in the fall just so I can mess around in there, even though we would only had a few workouts. But yeah, I'll have to come back and visit and take a look around.
Alumni game, Jake. You lighten it up, and we'll let you use it.
There you go. Perfect. Well, T, Jake, I don't think Russ I couldn't say it any better than what Russ did. Thank you guys for just representing the Brown basketball program so well for 4 years, but more importantly, Brown Athletics, Brown University, yourselves, your families. You're just two class young men, and I am 100% certain that no matter what the both of you choose to do, you'll be absolutely successful. So thank you for everything over these last 4 years, and good luck in the future. And most importantly, don't be strangers. Make sure we see you back here at Brown or on the road when the Bears are on the road in the future.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Tamanong Cho, Jake Shaper, our guest here on the Mike Martin Show. We'll take a break. When we come back, it's our alumni spotlight. Bernard Muir from the class of 90, director of athletics at Stanford University, will be our guest when we continue right after this.
The Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, the highly recognized mark of distinction in college athletics across all divisions, both men's and women's sports. Follow your favorite team's pursuit for excellence in this prestigious annual award through thedirectorscup.com, USA Today, or L Directors Cup on Twitter. Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, the crowning achievement in college athletics since 1993.
Hey everyone, this is Dr. Danielle. I'm here to present to you the Performance Fit series brought to you by Performance Physical Therapy. This is for anyone, if you're an athlete, you're exercising from home, or you're just returning to the gym. Even Bruno the Bear can do these types of exercises. We've got strength and conditioning, some flexibility and mobility, as well as speed and agility. So you can find all of these videos at brownrec.com or performanceptri.com. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome back to the Mike Martin Show here on AM 790 WPRV and on Facebook Live. Our Mike Martin Show brought to you in part by the Hilton Garden Inn Providence. It is the only waterfront hotel in the city that features newly renovated rooms, public space, and a bar and lounge area with just great views of the harbor. Located at 220 India Street, Providence. Make your reservation today. Well, this is our alumni interview segment, and this week it gives us great pleasure to welcome to the Mike Martin Show from the class of 90. He is currently the director of athletics at Stanford University. Bernard Muir is with us. Bernard, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to see you guys via Zoom.
Well, thank you for joining us. It's great to have you. Russ Tyler, of course, is with us in the class of 71, and Coach Martin. Bernard, I'll kick off the questions to you. First of all, let's talk about your current job at Stanford. You've been on the job, I think this is your 9th year as AD out there. And the program's just had unprecedented success. 23 NCAA championships, 31 national titles on your watch. What's the secret? What's the secret to success?
Thank you for acknowledging that. But the really secret sauce is our student athletes and our coaches. You know, the success of our programs really starts with the leadership of our coaching staff. We feel like we have some of the best and brightest, and they go out and do a heck of a job of just, you know, talking about this Stanford education and what you can garner from that. And then from there, we just attract some quality student athletes in every sense of the word. And so that for that, we've been fortunate to have some success on the playing surfaces.
And Bernard, that success, it preceded you. I looked, it said 25 straight Learfield IMG College Directors Cups. You've won an NCAA team championship at Stanford in each of the last 44 years. Are you kidding me?
I'm just holding on. It has been wild, but I thank my predecessors for, you know, setting up such a strong foundation, and now we're just trying to ride the wave and continue that excellence across the board. But it's certainly been a fun ride.
Yeah.
When you talk about that great foundation, how about for you personally? Was that foundation set in your 4 years at Brown University?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I credit John Perry, the athletic director at the time, when I was there, for getting me involved and piquing my interest in college sport. I sought him out my freshman year on campus. I remember during orientation, I went to the athletic director's office, which was in Marvel Gym at the time when we had Marvel around. I said, you know, someday I want to be in your shoes. I just thought this would be a great opportunity to stay in sport. And he said, let's see how things go. I've had seniors on the way out talk to me about a job in college sport, but never a freshman, albeit a cocky one. And he says, let's see how things progress. Well, my senior year, he ended up leaving and becoming the AD at Butler University. Dave Roach came in and did a wonderful job. But at the same token, I happened to be the same graduating class as John Perry's daughter. And he came back for graduation and said, what are you doing? I gave the typical senior response, I have no idea. And he says, why don't you come out and work at Butler for a year? And so I did, and it happened to be the same year they co-hosted the NCAA Final Four in Indianapolis. And I happened to make great connections with the NCAA, and a few stops later ended up working on the Final Four at the NCAA.
Yeah, that's really fascinating, Bernard, in terms of the connection with John Perry, who, as Mike knows, he's I'm going to use the term a regular at Brown basketball games, Mike, and I've been a supporter for years and years and years. But Bernard, let's take it back to high school. How do you end up at Brown? As Mike Singheiser recruits you and so forth, can you tell us what that scenario was like?
Yeah, so Coach Singheiser recruited me. Coach Ness, Coach Raynor were our assistant coaches. They came to Florida a few times. David Vischer, who became a teammate for me at Brown, was from Florida, had transferred from University of Florida. And so when I got up there on my recruiting visit, fell in love with Providence, fell in love with the campus. And I thought, if I got the opportunity, I'm coming. So I was thrilled to have that opportunity for them to open the door. And I had a wonderful 4 years in Providence.
Bernard, in addition to being a terrific game coach, X's and O's, and a terrific recruiter of young men and mentor to the young men that he coaches, I think one of the great things that Mike has done as head coach back here at his alma mater is reconnecting alumni like yourself to the program. And Mike, I want to ask you, how important is it to have somebody like Bernard connected with the program? As I said, to me, it's one of your strengths. You've done such a great job of just kind of opening your arms to all Brown basketball alumni and bringing them back into the family, if for some reason maybe they lost contact over the years.
Well, thank you for that, Scott. And that's a huge part of it. I mean, look, we want to win as many games as we can. We want to build a truly successful basketball program on the court. But it's about so much more than that for our student athletes. We have these guys, and they're recruited from around the country, and they choose Brown over a lot of other options. And one of the things we talk about is we have this unbelievable alumni network, and we want to help connect you to the folks who've come before you. And Bernard's one of many. Obviously, he's gone on to incredible success in his field, but there's so many like Bernard who have gone on to great success in their respective industries. And they're supportive of our program. They want to mentor our student athletes. They want to be engaged. And I think it's one of my primary responsibilities is to make those connections. And, you hear about ever true, right? You come to Brown and we always talk about we're ever true to our school, we're ever true to our alma mater. I remember I was coaching at Penn, and Bernard was the AD at Delaware. My wife and I went down. Gosh, I forget what we went down. I think Mia Hamm was speaking at the University of Delaware. Bernard probably had he was probably the reason that happened. He set that up, and I just remember seeing him. And he and I never played against each other. We never crossed paths, but we both knew we were Brown Bears and we're ever true. And it was like we were best friends. And I always remember that moment. And that to me is what makes this place truly special.
Well, I credit you, Mike, for just doing the tremendous job, especially in that front. I mean, for coaches to understand, even when prior to their arrival, to make this connection to people that they never played with is pretty phenomenal. And just to hear the cross-section of alums that have come back and intersect with the current student athletes, that is special. And it takes a lot of work, and you've been doing quite a job and making great efforts and to make that happen. So I credit you for doing that. And thank you for that on behalf of the current student athletes as well as the alums, because it's a great way to just stay connected to the program that we all love.
Thank you.
And Bernard, share some of your Brown basketball memories with us, if you would. I went back and took a look at some of the teams you played and so forth. It looks like you had a win over the Texas Longhorns while you were there. You led the Bruins maybe at the time to that win, and you also had a trip to Hawaii your junior year.
Yeah, you're bringing up great memories, Russ. Probably the signature win for us that I remember, and happened here in Palo Alto. We were playing in at the time they called it the Big Apple tournament with Apple Computer right down the road from us. And we came out here and played Texas in a heck of a game. We had lost to Stanford earlier a couple nights prior to that, or a night prior to that, and then turned around and played Texas and won. Signature win for us. I had a couple chances to go to Hawaii while I was at Brown, and it was more than once every 4 years. Thank goodness for me at the time. The rules changed after that, but we were undefeated. We went 2-0 in Hawaii. We played BYU, Hawaii once, and then I think we played Hawaii the next trip, and we went undefeated. So tremendous experience. I won't tell you what happened after we left Hawaii on one of those trips. We went to Kansas, and I can't remember the score of the game, but we took a loss. It was right after they had just won the national championship. But I'm going to put that out of my mind. It was quite a significant.
You know what, Bernard? Let me follow up on that, because I was at that game in Lawrence, Kansas. And Kansas, as they say, was loaded that year. No, they had like 4 first-round draft picks, and they were pretty good.
They were really good. We caught them on an off night. I think Chris Berman said on Sports Center that night, like, if you took Brown in '69, you still lost. And so, it still stands out to play the Jayhawks was a great experience. To play in Allen Fieldhouse, to go to truly a basketball mecca and have that opportunity is one that we'll never forget, even though we were well on the short end of the stick on that night.
Yeah.
Bernard, your senior year, you were co-captain with Arthur Jackson. In fact, that team finished third in the Ivies at 7-7. You guys actually got off to a terrific start in league play. Do you remember that? You were 6-2 at one point in the league.
I do remember that, and we had a great stretch. Boy, coming down toward the end, we just had some close near misses, as I recall. But it was a lot of fun. We had a number of young guys who were just stepping up, the Dresners of the world, Rick Lloyd, Chuck Savage. They pretty much carried us. But at the same token, just to be in the hunt toward the end of the season meant a lot to us. We wanted to be like that '86 team. And to at least vie for a championship was really an exciting experience.
And Bernard, along those lines, you stand as eyewitness to 3 of the greatest single game scoring performances in Brown basketball history. You've got Patrick Lynch had 39 against Yale on a Saturday night. 2 weeks later, he had 42 against Dartmouth, again on a Saturday night. And then also Marcus Thompson had the 43 against Harvard, which I think that was your junior year. So you learned to rebound the ball and pass the ball with those guys. Would that be correct?
That is correct. Those guys wanted to shoot it at every chance, and they shot it well. So we knew what our role was supposed to be, is just get it to them. The night you mentioned with Patrick and Jimmy, and I remember Jimmy Barton at Dartmouth, they went off. I think Barton had 40-something as well, too.
He had 48.
He had 48. Okay, so that was a heck of a night to see those two just go back and forth. It was tremendous. And Marcus, he was a heck of a scorer. Didn't matter where he touched it on the floor. He knew how to get it into the basket. And so it was fun to watch him compete as well, too.
Coach Singheiser was a guest on the show last week. What was it like playing for him for 4 years?
He was passionate. There's no question about that. We've had great stories that we tell among players, just how intense he was. He loved to compete. And he kept it all in perspective, which was great. I know that he had some personal challenges as health challenges while we were there, and he worked through that. And so I know he loved golf. He became really passionate about golf. And so he's just tried, as a student athlete, he was saying, we want to do really well on the court, but in life, we're going to do other things as well, too. So make sure you're hitting the classroom and doing as best you can in the classroom, and then also enjoy life. And so that's what I take from him. And like, we do our occupation, we do it with great passion, but there's many other things to celebrate. And I know for him, family was really important.
And Bernard, last week, Mike was on the call, as well as Jim Turner and Mike Waitkus. Did you get to meet those 2 guys when you made your visit to Brown?
I did. I remember I think I was in Mike Waitkus's dorm room, at least spent some time there during the course of the visit, and learned a lot, I'm sure, during that period. That's probably what sold the deal for me getting to Brown. And Jim, I had a chance to meet as well, too, but really good guys. And that kind of sparked my interest as well, too, knowing they had just come off great success. To be a part of that, hopefully trying to continue that, was really enticing.
Bernard, I understand that you and your wife have 2 lovely daughters, one of which was a lacrosse player and has graduated from Stanford. The other one in high school, is she also an athlete?
She is. She's a junior right now, and she's already committed to play volleyball at Duke. So very excited for her and to have that opportunity. Anytime you can play college sport, there's something you can draw from it. And so I'm excited that both of our girls will have that experience down the road here.
And Bernard, you mentioned Billy Raynor before, and Phil Ness. You had quite a coaching staff at Brown at the time. Bill went on to be the head coach at Holy Cross for a number of years. And Phil, was he at Lafayette?
He was at Lafayette for a little while, yep.
Yeah.
And he was at Allegheny, and did great.
And Tony Wingen, was he there when you? He was an assistant on the 1986 team.
I missed Tony. Tony might have just left. Yeah.
Yep.
So no, they're great staff, and we had a lot of fun, and we still stay connected. We had a mini reunion last fall when we honored Russ Fiore, our longtime trainer, and I know you guys know him well. And so they came out, Russ came out and played a little golf out here in Stanford, and it was great to get some of the guys back together as well, too. So we still have those bonds are tight. Never forget those bus trips. And so it's great when we can reminisce a little bit about the good old days back on campus.
Boy, Russ Fiore, he's the best, isn't he? How many ankles has he taped? How many
my God.
he put back together? My goodness.
He has a lot of stories himself. But I credit him for just keeping my back in order because, I had some back issues when I was playing, and I still to this day remember Russ's stretches and still use them. So I credit him for keeping me walking upright.
Bernard, I'm so intrigued by your story too, when you said that your senior year, you kind of had an idea that you wanted to pursue a career in athletic administration. And obviously, I mean, things have worked out so well for you, but I find it very interesting that you knew back then that that's what you wanted to do. And obviously it's been a successful pursuit for you.
Well, thank you. I grew up in Gainesville, Florida. And so the University of Florida was a stone throws from my house. I was always intrigued. I used to sell drinks at Cokes at the Gator games. And so I always thought, boy, this would be a great way to make a career. I remember flipping through a media guide and I saw this position called athletic director. And I said, this person's in charge of all of this. I'd like to be that person. And so that's what forged a relationship with John Perry to just say, teach me about this deal, what you're doing. And he was great. He took me under his wing. Going into my junior year, I did an internship with him at Brown, worked in a variety of departments. I got a chance to tour the pits when it was being constructed. And I was in a couple construction meetings and I remember that we're picking out the color of the bleachers. And I thought, man, this is kind of neat. And to make this your career, this would be great. So I credit John for just keeping the inspiration going and then going from there and providing me my first opportunity to really get into the profession.
Just out of curiosity, what was your concentration? What did you graduate from Brown with a degree in?
I did OBM. I was organizational behavior and management with the thought that this is what I was going to apply and put to use in a career in college sport. And so it's turned out well. And, I'm just thankful for all the professors. And I know Dean Hazelton is a class favorite. And so I took a few of his courses and I'm just really grateful for that opportunity. Arlene Gordon, I know, is since passed. I remember she taught us a class in college sport. I think I took that my freshman year. And so that as well was a great opportunity just to, again, keep the inspiration going.
And Bernard, obviously one of your major responsibilities at Stanford is hiring coaches. And go back and look at John Perry at Butler, and he could probably teach the course on how to hire coaches who are going to win basketball games. He had an unbelievable streak there, didn't he, of hiring top-notch guys?
Oh my goodness, unbelievable. Just the knack of knowing what the right fit is. Like Mike is a terrific fit at Brown, right? And so knowing that, having an eye toward making sure somebody understands the culture of the place, understands what the place represents, and then finding student athletes that fit that culture is really important. So, John had an eye when he was certainly at Butler to do that. And Mike is a product of that right now, who the AD that hired him to provide this opportunity. And that's more an art than science, if you will.
Bernard, my last question for you is, these have been challenging times for all of us with the pandemic, right? And the Pac-12, I think, had a delay in the start of their football season and fall sports. And now you're in the middle of winter sports and spring sports are starting to begin. But how challenging has it been with COVID and all the protocols that have to be followed and all of that stuff? I mean, this is different, I'm sure, than anything you've ever experienced in your career.
No question about it. That's a great question. And you are absolutely right. It has been a challenging time. And we understand what is going on around us. It's much more than sport. But to try to play sport during a pandemic has been significantly challenging. You're right. All the protocols we're trying to put in place to make sure that our student athletes are safe and healthy, first and foremost, is the most important thing. That's why we paused and did not start football till much later in the season. Especially in the areas in which in the Pac-12, our footprint, we had high rates of the virus. Now we're trying to come out of that. And for this winter and spring quarters for us, we're going to try to do something that's never been done. And we're going to have 35 teams competing all at once over those quarters. So to try to coordinate that, I just was on a call with our head coaches this morning, working through the details when we think about scheduling and the amount of teams that will be competing at one time, especially on our campus. When we think about going on the road and trying to do that as safely as possible, when we think about the testing that's necessary, all those things. And then you think about your staff and trying to make sure we provide enough coverage for all of these events. It's a lot. It's quite an undertaking, but yet we're going to roll up our sleeves and try to do the very best we can and to allow our student athletes to have to compete, which is what they enjoy.
Well, Bernard, thanks so much for joining us on Coach Martin's show tonight. We really appreciate it. And best of luck to you and the Cardinal this winter and spring.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Good luck, Coach. And I look forward to watching when you get back underway. And it's just great to go down memory lane with you today.
Bernard, thanks so much.
Thanks, Bernard.
We will
Bernard,
see you.
Class of 1990, our guest, wrapping up the Mike Martin Show tonight. Until next week, for the head coach of the Bears, Mike Martin and Russ Tyler, my name is Scott Credisci. So long, everybody.
This has been a presentation of Learfield IMG College.